All right, so without further ado, let's get started. Once again, welcome everyone to the Visa Next Steps Age of Access workshop. Today's topic is a masterclass on growth engineering for digital businesses. All right, so before we actually jump into introducing ourselves as SLA, how many people here have a digital business and how many of you are thinking about getting started? So if you have one, you could just say, I have one. If you're getting started, if you're thinking about it, you could just say, I'm thinking about it. All right, so in the meantime, yes, so we are SLA, that is She Leads Africa, and we are a digital media company that creates online content and offline events and programs to help young African women, much like all of you, achieve your personal and professional goals. Okay, so our partner that's helping us put on this workshop series is Visa, and Visa is a global payments technology company working to enable consumers, businesses, banks, and governments to use digital currency. Okay, so yes, why are we here today? This is the Next Steps workshop, but specifically Next Steps is a workshop series designed to give you practical insights, tools, and resources so that you can start, grow, and scale your digital business. It is your passport, sis, and welcome to the fourth workshop in the series. So how many of you attended one of the workshops that we had before? So let's say if you attended like all three before this one, you could say three. If you did two, you could write two. If you did one, you could just write one. So let me know in the chat section. Oh, someone says none. Oh yeah, why? Okay, so hello, my name is Kalada. I'm a program manager at She Leads Africa, and I'm going to be your host for today's workshop. I am passionate about supporting female entrepreneurs, much like all of you. And I'm here to make sure that you can get the most out of today's workshop. So our speaker for today is Temitope Saliu Thomas. She is the head of growth and partnerships at Growth Tribe Africa. She has 12 plus years in product management, growth, marketing, and partnerships. She has worked with some of the biggest brands in Africa, including Reckitt Beckner, Conga, Jumia, and many, many others. On top of that, she's also a top trainer with Google, Facebook, Ada, USA, Peace Corps Nigeria, where she has trained over 300 small business owners and over 1,000 young people as well. Okay, so earlier I asked you what you were hoping to get out of today's workshop, but here are our learning objectives. If you haven't shared what you were hoping to get out of today's workshop, you can also let us know in the chat still. But otherwise, here are our learning objectives. Number one is to set growth goals for your online business. Number two is to choose the infrastructure to achieve your growth goals. Number three is to discover tools and tips to understand your customers' behavior online. And number four is to create a list of next steps to implement the lessons in the short and the long run. So specifically, I just want to say one thing. So for anyone who is still sort of considering setting up your online business, even though you haven't started and it might be a bit too early for you to be setting growth goals, this workshop and Temitope's teachings will specifically help you get prepared so that when you actually get started, let's say you set up the infrastructure and all the foundational stuff for your online business, you'll know, okay, this is the growth that I want to achieve in my first, second, maybe even third year. So you can get started with your planning afterwards. But for everyone else who's already set up, this will be great as well from your perspective. So you can start thinking about how you can systematically grow your business over time. All right, so here's how we're going to get there. First and foremost, we're going to do a recap of the topics from the last workshop, which was the A to Z of growth engineering for digital businesses. Then we're going to be looking at growth tracking best practices. So as you're growing your business, what are some of the things you want to be looking at to make sure that you are tracking your progress correctly and you can make the right decisions to move forward over time. Then we're going to talk about how you can set smart growth goals. So then next up is looking at sort of the tools that can support your growth as a business. Then we're going to be looking at getting started with analytics, understanding choice architecture. Then we're going to share some additional resources and tools with you. Then we will have a 10 to 15 minute Q&A segment where you can ask Temitope any sort of questions you may have. Okay, so very quickly, before we move forward with the presentation, I just wanted to mention a few quick things. So first and foremost, please can you use the chat section to communicate with us and with each other during today's workshop. This is a workshop, well, let's say like a learning experience, but we also want you to have fun as well. So please feel free to bring your full self to the table, chat amongst yourselves, maybe even swap information if you do feel so inclined. Use this as an opportunity to connect with like-minded female entrepreneurs based locally or even internationally. It's a great opportunity for that. When you send your messages in the chat section, please make sure that you're sending your message to everyone. That way we can all communicate as a group. If it's going to the panelists, then only myself, the SLA team, and the speaker will be able to see your message. And it's not that we don't want to chat with you, but we just want everyone to be able to communicate together. So please make sure when you send your messages that you're sending it to everyone. Okay, so the next thing is the Q&A box. Please use the Q&A box to ask any questions during today's workshop. Please do not use the chat section because the chat moves very quickly and it's more than likely that your question will get lost. Whereas if it's in the Q&A, it will be there and we'll be able to see it and answer it properly. Otherwise, when you use the Q&A box, please make sure there are two settings you can make use of. Number one is the thumbs up, or let's call it the upvote feature. That lets us know that more than one person wants us to answer a specific question. So if someone asks a question that you wanted to, you can just upvote it and then it'll push it higher in the queue and we'll answer it sooner. Otherwise, if you have a follow-up question that's not directly as the same as someone else's, you can comment on their question with your follow-up. Or if you know the answer to their question, you can share your insights with them by answering the question as well before we do. So, sharing is caring. Each of you have knowledge and experiences that might be useful to one another. So feel free to also share your wisdom with everybody else in the Q&A box too. Okay, the last thing is the raise hand feature. So at different points during the workshop, Temitope might ask you to use the raise hand feature. You should be able to see it in the control panel of your Zoom window. So let's do a quick test. How many of you have found the raise hand button? If you found it, please can you just click raised hand and let's see how many people have. Okay, so you can see 20, 25, 27. Okay, good, fantastic. All right, so that covers how we can interact with one another during the workshop. As I mentioned, if you have any questions, please share them in the Q&A box. You can ask as many as you want to. There are no stupid questions here, so please feel free to reach out to us and we'll do our best to support you any way we can. So now we're gonna have a quick intro to give you more background information about the She's Next initiative. Next slide, please. Fantastic. All right, so have a good time and enjoy the video, everyone.
Small businesses are the backbone of Africa's economy, and women entrepreneurs play a significant role in that. In spite of the pandemic, many of them have managed to survive and even thrive. We undertook research to understand how women entrepreneurs have fared, and 7 out of 10 women-owned small businesses in sub-Saharan Africa claim the pandemic has had significant negative impact on their business revenue. This comes in addition to other challenges such as lack of technological infrastructure and limited access to financing and digital capabilities. At Visa, we believe that we are now in the age of access, and unlocking digital capabilities for women-led small businesses is one of our priorities. We aim to do this through our She's Next initiative. Over the next few months, we will kick off a number of initiatives to open access to education, resources, and funding. Globally, we have digitally enabled over 16 million small and micro businesses, and we hope to expand this reach through the launch of She's Next in sub-Saharan Africa. We believe that investing in women entrepreneurs is the key to recovery and economic growth. If you are a woman and an entrepreneur, I encourage you to get involved and be part of the She's Next program. To find additional information about the She's Next initiative, visit africa.visa.com.